Hey guys, so I thought I'd film another video, mainly just to keep up momentum of filming videos. So it's nighttime. It's actually quite late. It's after midnight. So yeah, um, I guess one of the things I will sort of reiterate in this video is almost like the debate that's taking place right now: should vote leave or vote remain? But instead of it being in regards to Britain and the EU, it's in regards to maybe a person who is not sure whether or not to stay in a Western country or to move back to the country of their origin, or an ethnic or developing country, or just, I guess, to make the change. So, um, let's say this case for vote remain or vote to stay. In my case, I'm in London, and there will always sort of be a connection here for me, with my family being here. I was born here, I went to school here, and it is home on a certain level for me. There's a level of familiarity. You understand the system. I definitely understand the system here better than I understand the system in Nigeria, for instance. So there's all of those things. In terms of career path, things are a lot more sure and certain. They're a lot more sort of, you kind of know what you're doing. There's sort of no real surprises being here. You know what job you have, you know how much tax is leaving your paycheck every month, you know how you're getting to work, you know. The only probably level of unpredictability is the weather. So things are pretty, and because of that, things are pretty comfortable and stable, and there's a level of sort of guarantee that you get from being here, which is, it's odd, but it's also kind of, well, I guess it's not odd. It's like a hug. It's like warm. It's like a fuzzy feeling of, okay, yes, I know what's happening. So yeah, I guess that's it for vote stay. It's always a compelling argument to stay. And that's why a lot of people, I think, sometimes move and then move back because of the level of familiarity. There are a lot of people that within the first 3 years or so decide that it's not for them. Now, there are reasons very specific to Nigeria as to why they wouldn't necessarily want to pursue staying in Nigeria. But I would say one of the main reasons why people move back is because, let's say move to Nigeria and then move back to the UK. Let's say I don't want to say give up, but sort of make a decision to move back to London or move back to the US or wherever they're from, is because it's the culture shock of when you first get there. You feel so Nigerian when you're here. Doesn't matter where you're from, but people kind of ask you, "Oh, where are you from?" Or Kemi, that's a Nigerian name, isn't it? So there's sort of always a constant reminder of the fact that you are Nigerian. You enjoy the food, you enjoy the music. Maybe you have some Nigerian friends. Maybe you go to a Nigerian church or mosque, or maybe you have like associations you belong to or clubs that you belong to that sort of reminds you of the culture you come from. When you go back to Nigeria, you kind of realize you're not as Nigerian as you thought you were, that your culture is probably a mishmash of both. So it's certain very traditional aspects of Nigerian culture, but also a lot of things from Western culture, which aren't necessarily bad, but just certain things that sort of are different. And when you sort of confront that with being in the reality of being in Nigeria, it's not always the easiest transition because it's you that needs to adjust, not Nigeria. So there's no light in Nigeria, right? And there's constant electricity in the UK. we can bitch all day about Nigeria needing to get constant light, but in the meantime, it's you that needs to adjust. It's you that needs to, if they take light, and let's say the inverter comes on, or let's say the gen comes on, or let's say it takes 5 minutes for either one of them to come on. It can't always be a surprise. You can't always get pissed off. You can't always be upset. You can't always be annoyed. You have to sort of adjust. The same with, I don't know, bad roads or politics or inflation of prices of things. You sort of have to adjust. And it's that adjustment period which I think hits certain people in different ways. Harder depending on your own sort of character, or maybe how long you've lived outside, or I don't know. It just takes some people a longer time to adjust, if they ever do adjust. So yeah, there's that aspect of things. I would say to stay in Nigeria is the dream, right? I think one of the things I identified is, and I spoke about this in the previous video, is the kind of lifestyle that I want and I had. Although someone I think wrote underneath that it's lofty goals or something. But the funny thing is that it's not, and I've seen this in other places. I've seen this in the Caribbean. I've got friends that moved back to Angola, to India, to mainland China. I've got friends that have moved back, and what you'll find is that a middle class lifestyle here and the middle class lifestyle in Nigeria are completely different. It's not the obscenely wealthy that own horses in Nigeria. It's not the obscenely wealthy that have a beach house. It's sort of middle class. It's people that would be considered normal here. Because it is a lot easier to acquire assets in Nigeria because tax isn't such a big deal. If you think about it, if you had in cash the tax that you paid every month, you could save towards buying a house. Wouldn't be a big deal. You would already have your deposit. Paying your mortgages wouldn't be such a big deal. So depending on how much you earn, close to 20 to 30% of your salary could be gone, and maybe not necessarily in direct tax, but things like VAT, council tax, road tax, insurance, all these different things. It takes money out of your hand every single time you pay for one of them. Sorry, some fluff on my hand. So yes, although things are hard there, and it is definitely kind of the wild, wild west, I do sort of know that in the long term, that's kind of where I want to be. So I guess the path for many people is just how you get there, or how you stay, or do you need to go and come back, or how many breaks do you need to take, or I don't know, how strong is your resolve or something. So in the case of to vote remain or vote leave, there's risks for both. The same like leaving the EU and staying in the EU. There's risks for both. There's a level of uncertainty for both. And let's say to vote to leave, so to vote to leave London and go to Nigeria, or to leave the US and go to Nigeria, or to leave Europe and go to India or the Caribbean, or even if it's just a job in Dubai, I do think that there's a level of risk. It's definitely the unknown, and it's a case of, are you willing to sort of take that leap and make that jump and embrace sort of, the spirit of pioneers. So yeah, it's but if you can't, and if you don't, or if you for yourself maybe think, okay, maybe it's in 5 years time, or in 3 years time, or I don't know, when my parents move back, or when I retire. It doesn't matter when. I just kind of feel like everybody should sort of maintain a connection from about where they're from, because as much as you're here and you can build a life here, you're still not from here in a really weird way. People will still ask you, where are you from? And if you say the UK or you say London, I'll be like, no, but where are you from? So I'm not saying everybody has to move back to Nigeria, or move back to whatever country they're ethnically from. But I feel like everybody needs to maintain a link and understanding their culture, and understanding that you are a citizen. You can be a citizen of somewhere without being from somewhere, if that makes sense. I've said it to somebody, and a lot of people are like, no, that's not true. That it's not the case. And the one case that I made is, let's say I was born and raised in India and I spoke the language. That wouldn't make me Indian. Sorry. Nobody would describe me as Indian. And in fact, if my mother was born in India and then I had been born in India, that still wouldn't make me Indian. Even if I had an Indian passport, still wouldn't make me ethnically Indian. So I think it's here people sort of get this sort of, especially being in London. London is sort of this, I wish people travelled more around the UK, because you would realise how very not multicultural the UK is. But anyways, I digress. That's really a big discussion for another time, but I digress. Vote stay or vote vote leave or vote stay or vote remain or Brexit or whatever you want to call it. I kind of feel as though I could, okay, in my own case, I could possibly be coming back to London for a while. Why? Because a job opportunity has arisen for me to come back. The only reason that job opportunity exists is because of my time in Nigeria and the work I was doing there and the experience that I gained there. If I do come back to work here, it would be sort of a capital generating exercise, so that I'm free to do whatever I want. One of the things I did find was, if you do have a farm or you have a sort of business venture and you're an entrepreneur there and you get to a stage where you need funding, you're either going to take it as a loan in terms of raising having debt, or you're going to sell equity of your company. And in either way, you're no longer in control. Either way, you have people you need to answer to, which in life is always the case. But for me, I feel like I'm too early on in my sort of entrepreneurial journey to sort of have to take on that sort of level of responsibility, I guess. So I could come back, and if I come back and work here, I will definitely be going back every quarter. I have land there to check up on. I'd want to invest in new projects as well, sort of just to get the cogs moving, so that maybe it'll be a T-2 years or a T-3 years, and then I've generated enough capital and maybe built an asset here so that I don't need to come back, because the power of the pound is no joke, exchange rates are no joke, and earning potential here, even though I'd be probably miserable, if I can send £1,000 back to Nigeria a month, that's between 400 to 500k, which and within one job, the story that I've been put forward for, it could be double that, and so that's millions of naira. That could end up being anything from £24,000 upwards. Just me sending capital back. That's not even me doing anything with it or investing. So I definitely feel like one of the things I didn't do particularly well before I left the first time is to plan, and is to acquire capital, and is to sort of have like a nest egg to protect yourself while you're there. Whether you plan to invest in anything or not, even if you're moving just like from, I don't know, you're working, I don't know, in the financial services and they place you in Dubai, for instance, I still definitely feel as though you should have a little bit of cash as like a savings, as like a cushion for yourself. You don't want to be totally reliant on just the money that you're earning. You need to have, and I'm sure you guys have all read these books like The Richest Man in Babylon and all those other things. You need to have multiple streams of income. You need different things to be making money for you. So yeah, that's one of the things I'm trying to do. Trying to be a big girl. Trying to be business savvy as well. I plan on farming and doing it for the rest of my life, and God willing, that's another 50 years. So 3 years of being here or working here is not a big deal. And I'll say that to anybody. You can have, the way we live now, you can have 3 lives. So life's a long, long time if you're doing the wrong thing. Life's a long time if you haven't found your passion. Life's a long time, especially when I've got so many friends here that are like same jobs, same boyfriends, same complaints. Not that same job or same boyfriend thing is a bad thing, but for me the complaints thing is the biggest issue. If you're complaining about your job back in October and it's now June? Sorry, it's now May, the end of May or beginning of June. Like, I don't I don't really have much sympathy for you, only because I think to myself, if you'd been job hunting since October, you would have found something by now in May. But you're not. There's a level of comfort. Like the UK has this sort of worker bee mentality that gets you into just keep your head down, just wake up in the morning and go to work and come home, maybe go to the gym, eat, chat with some friends, social media, sleep, same thing again. And they like you being like that. You're reliable and you're like that, sort of being entrepreneurial and being creative. Not to sort of shuck your responsibilities, but sort of just pursuing passions a bit more is unpredictable, and the government doesn't want unpredictable. Your employer doesn't want unpredictable. And yeah, if you look at the stories of all the greats, they didn't sort of surrender to predictability and what was expected of them. They sort of pursued their dreams. Somebody said to me, a very good friend of mine said to me, she said she was listening to one of these motivational speakers. She listens to them every morning as a part of like her power of positive thinking sort of mindset, which does work, by the way. It sounds a bit cliche, but it actually kind of does work. And she listened to one guy and he said, it's easy to make money, but it's just easier not to. So it's easy, which I never thought about. I thought that making money was this hard thing. You have to like grind and work and do all these different things, but it's not. Even though those things are considered hard work, it's easier not to. It's easier not to make that phone call. It's easier not to send that email. It's easier not to rejig your CV. It's easier not to apply for other jobs. It's easier just to settle. Settling is easy. And my biggest fear is settling in all aspects of my life. My biggest fear is settling. So one of the things that's even in Nigeria, I don't want to just be some man's wife. I don't want to just be average. And yeah, that's my biggest thing. I don't want to be average. So when it comes to vote stay or vote leave, for me, it's just about happiness. It's about pursuing goals, pursuing your lifestyle. And I've probably not answered the question, which is a good thing, because I feel like everybody has sort of their own goals or ambitions in regards to leaving or staying. But you have not seen the last of me. And Nigeria's definitely not seen the last of me. Like, I've been here for about 3 weeks. It's been amazing. It's been fun. But, like, I'm cold. Like, look. I'm wearing socks. Wait, where's the camera? Yeah, I'm wearing socks. It's cold, guys. What's going on? I thought it was warm weather when I first got here, but it's a bit cold now. Anyways, I'm going to go to bed. Yeah, it's at 12:30. There's a thing that I contribute towards called Ag Greek in Africa. I'll put the website down below. Check it out. It's part Ag Greek in Africa. And they've got a Twitter page as well that's doing quite well. So, yeah. I shall hopefully speak to you guys later. Give me ideas for more videos. Give me ideas for more videos. I'm vlogging. I'm just not in the mood to, like, carry camera around. No, I don't think so. But actually, no, I plan on visiting a beekeeping thing, so I'll definitely take a camera when I go there. Hope all of you are well, and I shall speak to you soon.